Hi everybody, Madison here with Health by Ratio, and in this video we are going to go over one of my favorite exercises for the core that trains stability around the lower back, the mid back, the thoracic spine, and the neck. So it helps us, those of us that are dealing with issues like recurring lower back pain, or perhaps thoracic outlet syndrome, or that forward head posture or rolled shoulders forward that often create this tension in the neck. We're going to talk about an exercise that's really great to work on the stability of the core to prevent those issues. But first, if you don't know who I am, like I said, I'm Madison, the founder of Health by Ratio. My team of licensed physical therapists, corrective exercise specialists, and functional health coaches work virtually, all online, with our clients so that we can take a holistic approach to get them away from recurring and chronic injuries and pains and move them towards their rehabilitation goals, but then progress them beyond that toward whatever their fitness and or active lifestyle desires are. So whether that is around sports and athletics, or whether that's just being able to keep up with the grandkids and be able to roll around in the yard kind of thing, we want to make sure that we're translating their health goals toward their active lives as well. So without further ado, let's jump into, like I said, this core exercise that many of us have done to a certain extent if we've ever gone through physical therapy for things like lumbar pain or thoracic outlet or thoracic pain in general, perhaps, like I said, some neck stability. We're going to go over variations of a dead bug, but in some functional ways that are really challenging. Now, if you don't know if this is something that you deal with, like if you don't know this is an issue for you, what we're trying to really counteract in this exercise is our tendency to rib flare. So when we sit throughout the day, and this can happen for other reasons too, but when we're sitting throughout the day and we're bent here, or we're compressing down, we're on our devices, or we're on our computers, that kind of stuff, and we're in this position, we start to get these tightnesses around the ribs, around our upper thoracic spine region, around our hip flexors and front thighs. And these tissues connect from the front of the thighs and hips, wrap through the body, and attach at the mid back. So these two areas that get so tight tend to compress us down this way. And then when we stand up, if we want to just get vertical, or even more so if we want to bring our arms overhead, if we have these tensions, we're going to compensate by flaring our ribs up. We're going to try to overarch at this hinge point as opposed to being able to move through the shoulder girdle. So to test this, to see if this is an issue that you have, if you stand next to a wall and you stack your body right up, now this isn't going to quite work because it's a door frame for me, but you'll get the picture. You stand up against a wall, stack everything so that the back of your head's touching the wall. We want the whole kind of mid back to be against the wall. We don't want to be flaring the ribs already. The lower back should have a space there because that we have our natural arch. And then the butt should be against the wall and heels directly underneath us, right there. Then what you're going to do is what's called a wall angel. You're going to have your arms out to the sides. We're going to extend them up, and the goal is to be able to maintain contact with the back of our palms and forearms to our elbows. We want to maintain contact with the wall and be able to extend all the way vertical without flaring those ribs away. So we should still feel that pressure or that touch point of the mid back to the wall. So if we can bring the arms all the way vertical and all the way back down without any of this, or on the other hand, we could also be moving the arm away, like we might not have the range of motion, then this is a really great core exercise for you. Now, there's plenty of other techniques that we need to do on the mobility side too. There's some gunk around these ribs, around these lats, around the scapulas, especially probably around the hips too, that we need to mobilize, do some manipulations. And we have other videos on how to self-mobilize those areas, some good functional stretches and all that good stuff to increase our range of motion. But in this video, I want to talk about stability. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So for a dead bug, the more classic version of a dead bug, I should say, is where we're laying on our back. We get into kind of a 90-90 position with our knees. So the knees are stacked directly over the hips, arms are straight overhead. And we can either do this one at a time, where we lower one leg down to the ground, then come back up. Then the other leg, then bring the thumb to the ground, thumb to the ground. We can also do this opposite leg, opposite arm, and come down. Now, the goal, similar to the wall angel that I was just demonstrating to test if this is something that we need, is to keep those ribs down. We don't want to go into this position and flare the ribs up. We don't want to feel this massive increased arch along the whole spine. We want to keep the ribs down. So it requires us to engage our core a bit to keep this more at a straight position. And we have a little bit of that space in the lower back where the natural arch is there, but we don't want to be extending further away there. And that's for all positions. We're trying to keep those ribs down and neutral the whole time. Well, that's a relatively easy version. If this is challenging for you, though, stick with this. This is a great exercise to do. If you feel that core working and you're struggling to try to keep neutral spine as you're going in and out of it, then this is a great exercise for you. But for those of us that have done this in physical therapy, there's another progression to it that is a bit more challenging if this is starting to get pretty easy for us. And it translates even better to teaching our core or strengthening our core to prevent that tendency of rib flare that impacts the lower back and that thoracic spine or thoracic outlet syndrome in our neck and all that good stuff. So we take a band, and this could be a TheraBand, this could be a workout band. I have one of my super bands connected behind me, and we're going to try to attach it to something that's about hip height behind me. And I want to scoot away so that I got a decent amount of tension where if I get my arms vertical over my chest, I should have a pretty good pull going upward. Now, once I get my arms vertical, I need to make sure that I lock my shoulders back. So it's almost like I'm trying to push the shoulder blades and back of my shoulders into the ground. So I'm going to kind of pinch them together. I also want to push them away from my ears. So I don't want to shrug up when I do this, and I don't want to roll forward when I do this. So I'm thinking big chest, ear away from shoulders. Then I want to make sure that, okay, let's get those ribs down. I want to make sure that my core is engaged, and then we're going to go through a dead bug. So the first version of this is I'm going to get my arms locked in place. I'm going to pin them down. I'm going to get my ribs neutral. I'm going to get myself at that 90-90 position with my legs. And now I'm going to hold this in place and just control one leg down, engaging my core as I do so. Bring it up to 90, then switch to the other side. The challenging part of this is keeping the legs in position with the core engaged, obviously not overarching at the lower back when I do so. But I also want to keep, I don't want to be tempted to bring my legs too far over my abdomen. So if my knees are kind of over my belly button, this gets really easy and I can almost flatten out my back. But if I get my knees more stacked over my hips, this is a very challenging core exercise. It's exponentially more difficult. Now, the next progression is I can use the arms and bring them overhead and then pull them back up to straight over my chest. Lower the leg, go overhead, and then pull them straight back over my chest. The whole time trying to avoid that tendency to want to flare my ribs up. I'm just trying to engage my core to stabilize myself. If I start to feel this in my lower back at all, that chances are that means that I'm arching my back as I lower my legs or as I'm raising my arms up. So you're either getting too fatigued, it's time to call it at that rep, or you need to re-engage that core and pull yourself down a little bit so that we're staying neutral. Be very mindful of that sensation in the lower back, that it's not increasing that arch position. This is a banded dead bug, and because of that pull, it really trains that core to work significantly harder, significantly more than just doing a body weight dead bug. There's also other variations of dead bugs where we kind of roll side to side. You can hold on to a weight, or you can strap on ankle weights kind of thing to be used as well. But this is one of my favorites because of the pull and angle of that band and how it trains our core. It's actually one that we just did in one of our client group workout classes that we conduct once a week. And this was our main core exercise for the workout. So that's what inspired this video today. Now, guys, if you would like some help on your body and get some free coaching on what you can do to get this thing moving back to full ranges of stable motion. That combines both key mobility techniques and functional exercises that's applicable for you. Then my team and I would love to help. Feel free to click the link below. You'll see a link to our calendar, and you can schedule up your first of 2 free calls. The first call, we just connect over a phone call. We find out more about your goals, what it is that your body has been through, and get on the same page with basically your fitness and health. The next call is where you and I connect over video and assess how and why your body is doing what it's doing. So we go through a number of functional movement assessments and range of motion tests, and then break down what techniques you specifically need to do to get your body back moving into that full range of stable motion for your active lifestyle and have that health that you want as you do so. So feel free to click the link. Outside of that, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you next time.